Welcome into T4G Sports. Apparently, Lincoln Riley and USC have been trying to use that West Coast speed to get their asses as far away from LSU as possible. And it didn't work. Didn't work. So we're here to talk about it today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, click the notification bell, and let's light it up. Okay, so the whole thing is hilarious. I think Lincoln Riley, in my personal opinion, did not want to go to the Big Ten. I think he looked at the Pac-12 being at USC with that NIL money and thought, oh, I'm home. This is going to be easy. And then all of a sudden it's like, you're joining the Big Ten. He's like, are you kidding me? This is not what I wanted to see at all. And SEC fans are going to give him crap for trying to avoid LSU, of course. But I will say this to SEC fans. Greg Sankey could write a manual on how to avoid tough competition and still get ranked incredibly high. And some of you guys would be like, oh, what are you saying? No, think about it. Like, you play one less conference game in the SEC than everyone else. One less conference game, okay? So you guys don't even play each other as much as the Big Ten plays each other. On top of which, you guys don't even play the opposite division that much. Georgia and Alabama play each other in the regular season once every 6 years or something like that. That's crazy. So you guys don't play each other that often. You do it for good reason. Trust me, they know what they're doing, okay? On top of which, the SEC doesn't play non-conference Power 5 away games. When they do, they usually play it's like neutral sites and stuff like that. They know what they're doing. This is genius. Trust me, they know what they're doing. I would write this as tips if I was covering a college game on how to manage your conference. I would literally follow the book of the SEC because I'd be like, just do this, and your teams are going to get ranked incredibly high. Florida played their first non-conference Power 5 away game at Utah last year since like 30 years ago. Okay, 30 years. Think about that. That's insane. So, everyone just understand college football first and foremost before we start thrashing everyone, right? Everyone can be thrashed to a certain degree. Everyone. SEC, Lincoln Riley, USC, you could thrash the Big Ten. All this could be thrashed. Okay, so just know that no one's perfect in this scenario. I just want everyone to understand that right out of the gate. So 2022, you play Rice, Stanford. This is what they played. Dave's Hot Chicken, Oregon State, Arizona State, Washington State, Utah, Arizona, California, Colorado, UCLA, Notre Dame. Okay. The Pac-12 champion, Utah, ended up going and getting beat by Penn State, who was the third best team in the Big Ten. Okay, so that's just to give you a little, idea of how tough it is in the Big Ten too. And we're talking recent years, by the way. This is not that long ago. 2023, you got San Jose State, Nevada, Stanford, Arizona State, Colorado, Arizona, Notre Dame, Utah, California, Washington, Oregon. Okay, and UCLA. So tough opponent. I would say a tough opponent for them because it's a rival. So you got 3, 4, 5. Like decent, pretty tough. I would say not too bad. Let's go to 2024 here. Take a look at what the hell's going on here. I'll tell you this. This is the toughest schedule I've seen so far. They gave you the Big Ten East, and they decided to throw in massive other teams. Okay, massive teams. This is a horrible schedule. I will be impressed if you guys win 5 games or more. I will be thoroughly impressed. This is terrible. LSU, neutral field. Utah State, at Michigan. And this game's going to be just physical as hell because Michigan's just going to try to pummel the shit out of you. Many people don't know this, but the Big Ten recruits the same amount of top 50 players as the SEC does on the offensive line. So they have the same level of NFL talent on the offensive line. People don't know this. They have no idea. They walk around and they say all these things and they just don't know the actual stats. So you got Michigan. This is going to be a fist fight. I don't see them winning this. Not a shot. Then you have to play Wisconsin. And Wisconsin, people don't know this also, but Wisconsin gets almost as many players drafted in the last 5 years as Oregon does and USC. So, they may not get as many first-round picks, but they still get a lot of guys get thrown into the league. And I'll tell you, Wisconsin the guys that they usually get thrown into the league are offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and running backs. Big. And they're physical as hell. So these 2 weeks right here are going to just weigh down your team. They're going to be super physical. It's going to be physical football. Then you got Minnesota and play at Minnesota, and that just sucks because they're dangerous enough. They're not over the top dangerous. If you can stop their passing completely, you'll win. But they are physical, and they're going to smash the hell out of your team. Like, if you go back and you watch, like, Ohio State, Michigan, you'd see injuries. You'd be like, man, Ohio State players got injured. They'd win. Ohio State would win. Michigan players would get injured. Penn State players would get injured against Minnesota. And you'd just kind of be like, why is that? And then you realize just how physical they are. They're not... They may not win the game. The likelihood of them winning the game against those big teams is not high, but the likelihood of them punching them in the mouth is very high. That's what they do. Then you got to play Penn State. Jesus Christ. Then at Maryland, and people don't know this, Maryland almost did as good as Alabama did. They did better on their offensive line than Alabama did. They didn't allow as many sacks, but they almost did as good as Alabama did against Michigan. They did better than Washington did against Michigan in the Natty just last year. Maryland's a scary team. They are a scary team. Rutgers, also a scary team. They can come at you hot. So, yeah, these are just they're not easy games. This isn't Arizona and terrible. They're just not those teams. Then you got to play at Washington, which is loud as hell. So that's not good. Then you got to play Nebraska. And Nebraska's got Dylan Raiola. They're starting to really unlock that passing attack. And they could be really good by this time of the year. Nebraska could be feeling themselves at this time of the year, and it could be bad. Then you got to play at UCLA, then Notre Dame. Dear God, they threw you in and gave you the Big Ten East schedule, then said, hey, let's throw on LSU and Notre Dame because Notre Dame's a historic rival. I'll tell you what, unless Notre Dame goes to the Big Ten, if I'm USC, I ain't scheduling this anymore. Historic rival, you guys, if you're a USC fan, you may be looking at it and go, that's crazy to say, bro. It's a historic rival. Just wait. 2 years, give it 2 years, and you're going to go, why the hell are we scheduling them? Our schedule's tough enough. They're not in the Big Ten. Get rid of them. Yeah, you guys will all be saying it within 2 years' time because this is ridiculous to throw this on. This is insane. It's absolutely insane, especially if they're not in the Big Ten. If I'm a USC fan, not a shot in hell am I going to want to go through this schedule and then be like, yeah, we got to play Notre Dame. Not happening. I wouldn't want to do that. This is too tough. This is ridiculous. Even if you were an Ohio State fan, Michigan fan, whatever, even with your powerful teams, Penn State, you're not going to want to do this. You're not going to want to do this. This is the Big Ten East and then throw on Notre Dame and LSU? No. The worst team you have is Utah State. This is the only gimmick game where you're like, here you go. Here's a game you should really. It's like East Carolina type. You should just beat up on them. No, you don't. You have one. The rest of them, you have none. You have no just easy going, nonchalant team. And on top of which, the SEC is going to start scheduling tougher opponents, and that's why they're complaining about the 9-3. If you see a 9-3 SEC team, they should automatically go in because they're going to start being forced by the TV networks to do that to make more money. Because the Big Ten started to make more money because all their toughest competition played each other. So it was very intriguing football. More people watch. That's why in 2022, the Big Ten actually made more money than the SEC when they were just regional at $845 million because the SEC wasn't scheduling as many conference games. They would switch out that for that 1 week where they were supposed to play like the Big Ten, where the Big Ten's playing the Big Ten. The SEC doesn't have to because they play one less conference game, so they can schedule like East Carolina or Appalachian State or something like that, and that affects your money as a whole. So now the SEC is starting to be forced to play. If they want to make more money, they're going to be forced to play tougher schedules than they're already playing right now. And people are shocked to hear that. What do you mean? No, trust me. The ESPN is going to be like, no, you need to schedule another big opponent because that's how we're going to make more money. It's all about money now. So, but for USC, are you really telling me, though, that even though Lincoln Riley, you may disagree with him, you may think he complains about stuff or whatever, the whole, if he really said that about the West Coast speed, why are you so afraid if you have that West Coast speed, man? It seems like you're trying to use that West Coast speed to run the hell away. But at the same point in time, do you really blame him? Like right now, looking at this schedule, do you blame him? I don't. I know how tough that schedule is. That's not easy. So anyways, let us know what you guys think. I think this is the toughest schedule I've seen so far. I don't know. I want to see someone else's schedule and see if it's even tougher. But from the looks of it, this schedule sucks. This is a crappy schedule.